Welcome to Leading the Follower with your host, Rebecca Benston. Good morning. It's me, Rebecca Benston, with Leading the Follower. It is Friday, and I'm hoping that if all goes well with this recording, I'll have this podcast for you by sometime this afternoon. I just never know anymore. I can get started on a podcast and record several takes of it, and for whatever reason, it just isn't transferring the right way. So I'm going to do my best. I hope you've had a great week and that you've been able to make some significant progress on the things that you've been working on. I have actually geared down a little bit. I've done a lot of brainstorming and just thinking about the direction that I need things to go. A lot of the priorities that I had coming into the year have been unfolding a little differently than I had expected. And I'm just trying to make some alterations here and there where it makes sense, of course. And things look slightly different than I had anticipated. So, um, really, what I have been doing is looking at the overall structure of Higher Ground Books and Media. With this being our 10th year in business, I wanted to do something special. Um, but so far, I haven't been able to come up with the right thing, and it's always been kind of like that with me and this massive project that God has given me over these last 10 years. Um, I've kind of gone into it like a pantser. I don't know if you're familiar with the writing term. There are different types of writing styles out there, and one is called a pantser. Basically, you write by the seat of your pants, I guess, is the idea. And I'm not big on all of the lingo and everything. I know what's out there, but it doesn't really apply to me as much as I, probably acknowledge. So, um, or maybe it does. Maybe it applies to me, but I just don't. Um, I don't label myself in that way normally. I mean, if I had to pick something, that would be the one I would identify with. Um, but I'm very much the person that waits for the right inspiration to do the tasks that I need to do. If I have a clear cut direction that I need to go in, then, if I know the steps I need to take, I go ahead and take them. And then if there's nothing that indicates what the next step is, I wait until God shows me, this is where you need to go now, or whatever, or until something logically comes up on my radar that makes sense, and then I'll make that move. And if I'm wrong, then I end up going back and doing it all over again, kind of like I do with this podcast. So, um, and the strange thing about that is I'm also big on planning. So, um, I'm a big planner. I like to write lists. I've got notebooks everywhere. Um, and while I do like to wait for inspiration to know that I'm going in the right direction with something, I also like to plan out as much as I possibly can because I like to fit as much as I possibly can into the time that I have. And since a lot of my time is taken up with things that I have to do to stay afloat, um, I have to fit all of the different little tasks that I want to do into the pockets of time that I have around that. So um, it's a strange combination. I know my personality is quite the enigma, I guess. Um, to be a pantser and a planner at the same time, and maybe one day I'll write a book about that so that I can make sense of it a little bit. Maybe it'll help me process this craziness that I've lived in all my life. Um, but anyway, it's it's just it was supposed to be a year where I kind of took things to the next level, but that was by my uh, reckoning, I guess. That was that was what I wanted to happen. I wanted to be able to step into this 10th year and make some significant contributions to the business and do all these things that I thought you had to do at year 10. Um, but maybe that's not the way it's supposed to go. Maybe that's just my idea of what it's supposed to look like. And I need to wait for what God's idea is. Um, and when he tells me, then I can move forward with that. But um so I've been keeping myself busy with looking at all the things that I have and making little changes to the website and changes to my author contract and changes to all of the different structural things. This is the way I want to do this from now on. This is kind of what my schedule should look like, because for the last 10 years, I kind of let the demand dictate um, how many books I would do in a given month. And I decided at the end of last year that I would do something with that, because I wanted to add more value to the releases that we put out every month. And I felt like a lot of really, really good books were um, getting passed over by readers because they didn't see the promos. Um, and I'm still kind of working on how that should look. Because it's so difficult to really spotlight some of the things that we write about. Um, a lot of our topics are um, not topics that people are excited to read. Some people like to read biographies and memoir, but maybe they gravitate toward the more motivational, like the more upbeat types of stories. And what we have is a lot of healing and dealing with trauma and having, revelations about things like addiction and abuse and poverty and injury. And, it's just it's not all as positive on the face of it as what a lot of people look for when they look for someone's life story. Um, not uh, everybody's story has, like a gold medal at the end of it. Some of us run the race, and we go through our things, and we face our challenges, and we do have victory, but it's not acknowledged, on any scale that anyone would know about other than us and maybe our immediate family, our inner circle. But that doesn't mean it's any less beneficial, and that story couldn't be any less of an inspiration to the people who read it. It just means that, you know, real life often is just not high profile and doesn't fit into the society's schematic of what success is supposed to look like. For me, success is getting through a day where I can complete the tasks I have on my list to the best of my ability, where I have, a roof over my head, food in my refrigerator, a little bit of money in my pocket, maybe gas in the car, and nobody's injured and nobody's sick and nobody's heartbroken and everybody's okay. And, that's a good day for me. So it doesn't have to be that I'm out climbing mountains or running marathons, although, I mean, those are wonderful things. And for the people who are able to do those things, that's great. But, the majority of us are just trying to get through the day. And um, it's very difficult for some when there's no recognition from anybody that you've gone through it and you've defeated whatever demons were after you, and you've made it to the other side of whatever challenge you were walking through. um But I think for the brave souls that come to me with their story after they've gone through those challenges, after they've faced um, an injury or disease that has crippled them, or uh, conquered addiction and gotten a hold of their life and turned it around, or come out of poverty by really working very hard and being determined to do what people have told them they couldn't do, or just turn their mental state around after being you know abused or neglected or abandoned. All of those stories to me represent the greatest victories that we have in life, and the people who are willing to share those stories are real heroes in my opinion. And I am a little biased because that's kind of how I am. That's our story, and I think that our stories, no matter how personal, I think they can be extremely impactful for other people, and that um, we should never stop telling those stories. We should never we should never think that the 10 people in my family and in my circle of friends who promised me they would buy the book are the only ones who are going to benefit from getting the book, because generally those people, they may benefit from it, but they're not going to benefit nearly as much as the stranger who picks that book up off of a bookshelf somewhere in the future and reads it at a time when they are broken and hurting, and they have nobody else to talk to about their situation. And when they open the book up, it's a situation that mirrors theirs because God has led them to pick up that book and read it. And your story will resonate with that person, and it will tell them somebody else got through this and somebody was able to make something positive out of this negative situation. And it looks like they didn't start out with much more than what I have, if any, and if they can do it, I can do it too. So that's the inspiration that I'm hoping that we're able to give people with the books that I publish through Higher Ground. Um, and of course, I did have this great big idea that year 10 was going to be significant in a lot of ways, but maybe the significance is that we're still doing what God has called us to do. I'm still telling stories. I'm still helping people tell stories. I'm still reaching out to people and encouraging them to not be afraid to share their testimonies and develop a platform from which they can reach people who need to be reached, people who wouldn't ordinarily um, have a connection to anyone who could help them through what they're going through. Um, that's really the goal, is to be the kind of place that shares stories that will ultimately help people heal. And I think as long as I keep moving toward that, then I'm going in the right direction. And until God gives me other guidance, I guess I'm kind of out there flying by the seat of my pants, trying to do everything right to the best of my ability, and hoping that somewhere there's a person who will benefit from everything that I'm doing over here, even though it looks like nobody notices. So that's what's been on my mind today. And, you know, like I've said before, it's not necessarily, I didn't get into the business of publishing books so that I could make a lot of money. If I had, um, I certainly would have done things a lot differently. Um, I actually just wanted to keep my stories out there. That was my initial goal. But then, as God does, He brought a very different thing my way and said, "Hey, you're going to do this for these people. And as you do this, more people will come to you, and you just keep doing this until I tell you not to." And that's what I've been doing. So, um, It's interesting, really, because when I started out writing my mystery series all those years ago, I think it was like 2005 or so. I really had no intention of going this far with anything. I would never have thought 10 years later I would be um, in the midst of publishing books for other people, but that's where it's gone, and it's been quite inspiring to me, and I hope that I can really do a lot more with what God has given me here. Um, and I want to get more into that story on the next podcast, but in the interest of being able to actually transfer this file over, I'm going to cut it right here and just ask you to just visit the Higher Ground Books and Media website and our shop and take a look at what we've got. Be sure to subscribe so that you can get regular updates on what we're doing. We won't bombard you. I'll try my best not to annoy you with all the different emails and stuff that I tend to get from the places I subscribe to. Um, but yeah, visit our website. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast, and come back on Monday. Hopefully, I'll have another one for you, and we'll get back into why I started Higher Ground Books and Media, why I started writing in the first place. Um, I want to talk a little more about that. I think it's a good topic to get into. But have a great weekend, and spend time with the people you love, and just take care of yourself and do the best you can do. God bless you. Thanks for stopping by. Be sure to check out our website and blog. The blog is at www.leading-the-follower.com. Thanks and God bless.